we've been tracking this crazy story that has gone super viral since we started talking about it. And it involved a elementary school kid going to a football game, having his face painted, wearing a headdress, Kansas City Chiefs fan. And credit to Jesse Waters on Fox News for tracking this kid down after his mom commented on an Outkick story that was up on foxnews.com about the fact that this kid was being slammed by sports media across the universe, including the first article written by Deadspin.com, and saying that this was an awful, because half of his face was painted black. They didn't see the whole face. And they tracked down this 9-year-old kid. Turns out he's 9 years old. Credit to Buck. I said he was elementary school age. Buck basically nailed the age here. And I just want you to listen to this kid. And I want you to consider this thought and this question. Where are we as a society when what kids wear to support their favorite football team is worthy of condemnation, but men dressing up like women and pretending to be women on the left is considered courageous? I would love to hear somebody answer this, but listen to this 9-year-old kid last night on Fox News.
Holden, how are you feeling right now?
It's okay because a lot of kids at school are getting excited, but it's starting to get me a little nervous because if they go a little bit overboard, it's a little scary.
I bet it's scary. It can be a very overwhelming experience. How has the community been in terms of support?
Okay. So far.
Good. And you're a football guy, right? Don't you have practice in a few minutes?
Yeah, we're getting ready to head out the door for all-star practice.
What position do you play?
Wide receiver and free safety.
It's amazing. And how big of a Chiefs fan are you?
Really big.
And what does it
Because
mean?
we went to the Raiders Chiefs game last year, too.
Nice. And what does it mean now that you're feeling all this love from Chiefs Nation? Everyone's going to be wearing red and black on their faces next Sunday.
Really good.
So,
I mean, the kid did a great
when you
job.
hear that kid, great job by Jesse interviewing him. But imagine being a grown person and targeting someone who sounds like that. I thought the interview was so well done, Buck, because it brings home, because people forget. And if you don't have kids, maybe you just, a 9-year-old kid, I've got a 9-year-old. I got a third grader. The idea that an adult would go after what a kid wears to support his favorite team. And if you're listening to us and you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm not a face painter, right? Like I don't do it.
Have you ever gone to a game with your face painted?
No. I have never painted my my face, never had my chest, there's been no paint at any sporting event. I've never gone shirtless with words written on them or anything like that.
Our next bet is going to be, Clay has to go to a college football game with the team that he doesn't like's letters or whatever on his chest painted.
Oh, I don't think anybody needs to see me topless. I don't know that anybody needs to see me in like a Speedo either. I need to go on a deep dive. I'll have to get on a Ozempic or one of those things to get fit. Now, my wife, people would enjoy that. She could go in the bathing suit. She could be in the Speedo. She could stand in for the Travis family. But there's talk now that a lot of Kansas City Chiefs fans are going to now paint their faces half red and half black as a show of solidarity with this kid. Now, I don't know how many Kansas City Chiefs fans we have who listen to this program, and I don't know how many people are actually going to be willing to do that. But if I were going to a Kansas City Chiefs game on Sunday, I would paint. I've never done it before, Buck. I would paint my face half red, half black in solidarity with this kid.
Oh, I think that's great, and I also, as I see this, I think it's a reminder that we can all have a very straightforward standard for this. Blackface mockery of people is wrong and grotesque, but people that aren't actually doing blackface should not be called out for blackface. I mean, it's very straightforward, right? I mean,
Yes.
if someone puts a little mark of the black
Eye
grease
black.
under
Yeah.
their eyes, eye black, they are not mocking anybody. They are doing this because they think it helps with glare, and it just so happens that the black color that is in the, like intent, to your point, matters.
Yes.
And if someone is not trying to mock someone and is not doing anything that a normal person could ever deem a mockery of people, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And particularly for a young kid, right? And also, can you think, Buck, of someone who has worn blackface to mock and ridicule a black person in the last decade? I mean, someone that you would know or some story. I don't even think this happens, right? Like the idea of someone deciding, hey, I'm ridiculing black people by wearing blackface. Like, where has this occurred? Now, I know people have dressed up in costumes, and every now and then you'll see on Halloween, oh, somebody went as a, black entertainer, and they dressed up. But when has someone intentionally said, I am super racist and I'm going to do this? And remember, historically, blackface was done on, stages for performance, and it was also accompanied by exaggerated black features as a white performer would pretend to be black for purposes of mockery as a part of that performance. When has something akin to that happened in recent American history? Again, I'm not talking about somebody dressing up in a costume and it being considered offensive because they changed the color of their skin associated with that. I'm talking about, like, when has someone actually sought to demean a black person by dressing up as 100 years ago would have occurred in blackface productions? I don't think it even happens. Now, we had our good buddy Trudeau, remember, is probably the guy who's most common, like when he dressed up as Aladdin, I think it was.
What was it? The previous, wasn't the lieutenant governor, it was third in line in Virginia. Remember this guy?
Yes.
I'm blanking on his name. But he was the guy, he was a Democrat, who's like, look, I can't tell you if I'm the guy in the KKK outfit or the guy who's doing, true blackface or whatever. Right. He couldn't even tell you which one he was.
That's right.
That was his defense. So he was either the guy in the KKK or the guy who was doing true blackface and
then remember they had all the scandal. That was really the height of how absurd Democrats were. They had, was it the lieutenant governor? I remember
was
his
accused
name
of sexual assault.
So they couldn't elevate him.
Yes, and the governor. Well, what was there was a problem with the governor.
It was a trio.
Yes, the problem with the governor, problem with the lieutenant governor, and a problem with the speaker of the delegates or whatever. There was. I have to check and see this guy's. The team will pull up their names. I can't believe I'm blanking on his Ralph something.
Ralph
was his
Northam.
name.
Ralph Northam.
Ralph Northam. That's right.
It was so the governor had a scandal of I think it was his med school yearbook or something with a racist photo, and then the lieutenant governor, these are all Democrats. The lieutenant governor had been accused of sexual assault. I think it was 20 years before, if I remember correctly, at a DNC convention, and then the next person up, who would have been the Speaker of the House of Delegates or whatever, also had a racial issue, and so they were like, yeah, everybody just gets to stay in office, because they couldn't even find somebody who didn't have a scandal to promote to take over as the governor of Virginia. And now we got Governor Glenn Youngkin, but that was, to me, a perfect approximation of how much BS so much of these scandals are. The governor refused to resign. The lieutenant governor couldn't be elevated because of his sex assault scandal. And then the House of Delegates guy, who would have been the next man up, also had his own scandal associated with race. One of those guys claimed, I think he put on blackface I think, and danced at a UVA party, like back in the early 80s. And if I remember correctly, he defended himself by saying that he was just a big fan of rap, which is amazing because, like, basically rap music didn't exist when he was putting on blackface. I think it was like a Michael Jackson before. The whole thing was crazy, right? The whole thing was crazy.